we are back with another episode of Vintage Club Conversations, where we sit down with leaders to discuss all things sales, tech, and AI. I'm delighted to welcome Ray Schloss as our guest of this episode. Namaste, Ray.
Namaste, Manisha.
I'm
Great
going
to
to
see
take
you
a
again.
same here. It's always a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a minute to introduce you to our viewers so they know just how impressive your background is. I'm a big fan of
I
your
don't know
work.
about
So, a
that.
Microsoft veteran, having worked there for 17 years, Ray's mission is to lead by example and champion the performance and success of his customers and stakeholders. He's skilled at transforming ideas into actionable programs by breaking down complex concepts into easy understandable parts, which I'm sure we are going to see in this conversation as well. Also, he's a yogi and into wellness coaching. We'll definitely talk a little bit about that. To kick things off, I would like to know, as a leader in worldwide technical sales for business applications at Microsoft, what strategies have you found most effective in driving sales growth and maximizing team performance on a global scale?
First of all, it's really a pleasure to get to be here. So thank you for this opportunity. It's great to see you again. I always enjoy talking with you. So for the 17 years that I was at Microsoft, the first 8 I spent in the field as a technical sales engineer. That's probably the most common term. Sales consultant, we call them TSPs, technical sales
Yeah.
professionals, or TSs, technology solutions professionals. So anyways, I did that for our Biz Apps, also known as Dynamics, commercial solution division. And I was a technical sales engineer. So I was in a lot of opportunities because I was the one trying to position the value of the Microsoft infrastructure and why we were a more nimble and better choice than Oracle and SAP and Salesforce and everybody else, right? So I did that for 8 years, and then I was very fortunate to be chosen as the global technical sales director for the Biz Apps division of Microsoft. And we grew over a period of the next 7 years from a community of I think there were about 300 of us globally, including the TSs and their managers, to over 1,200 by the time that
Wow.
I left that 7 years later. And so we had a massive exponential growth. And then the last year and a half or so I spent in an organization called Cross Solutions that was trying to help really be more specific about presenting a one Microsoft vision to customers instead of like, oh, you're from Azure, and oh, you're from Modern Work, and you're from Biz Apps, right? So to answer your question with that little bit of background, to me, like, effective pre-sales and technical sales in particular, but it goes for sales all up as well, in complex sales environments, really has to do with the proper preparation of your sales teams. And we found this to be true year after year, is that if we didn't have the right demo data, then a client really didn't believe what you had to say. If you didn't provide the right demo environments for your technical sales teams to be able to build proper demos, then they were greatly challenged and the sales cycles were suboptimal. If you didn't have great presentation training, then they may have the right data and they may have the right product solution, but the presentation is going to fall flat because they don't understand how to position value and truly understanding what is in the interest of the customer. If they don't know how to do discovery correctly, then they're not going to be able to identify the true win points that the customer is looking to hear. And if your competition comes in next week and does it better than you did in any of those areas, odds are you're going to fail, right? So really having a good understanding of the need of preparation, I think, is the most important point. And Misha, the thing is, having lived that life for 8 years in the field before I went to corporate at Microsoft, I totally understood the needs of the technical sales community, right? So when people would be like, oh, we don't need that special demo stuff, I'm like, yeah, we do. Well, we do if you want revenue. Like if you just
Yeah.
don't care about win-loss ratios, then no, let's not do it. But if you want to win, then we should do this.
Absolutely, and that's where, we see there are so many platforms today who help you with interactive demos, like, with ingesting the right data for the right customers. Because when you show the context related data to the customers, they are easily able to relate to what problem is the platform solving. I'm not sure how these interactive demo platforms are doing, but I have come across many.
Yeah, agreed. And that's probably another topic we'll get into here, Manisha.
Yeah. So you mentioned the team, the community of 1,200 technical pre-sales consultants and managers. That's huge, right? Could you talk about that experience? What were some of the challenges you faced leading such a large community?
Yeah. So this may surprise some people, but the biggest challenge was not dealing with the global needs. That was probably number two. So for instance, we've got great demo data in English and Spanish, not so much in Mandarin and Japanese, right? So
Yeah.
how do those communities have to deal with, having effective presentations when there's not a lot built into the application that's native to their languages? So the globalization was actually not the biggest thing. The biggest challenge was people who were at corporate for a long time who had no experience in the field making decisions that they thought were good ideas that really were very detrimental to the field. And you can liken this kind of to like a military example where there are people on the front lines who
Yeah.
are looking at this hill, right? And there's landmines and mortar fire, and somebody 300 yards or 300 miles or whatever back at headquarters is like, hey, go take that hill. And somebody else are like, look, there's mortars and there's landmines and it's not looking good, and I don't think we're gonna make it. Nah, from here, we think it's good. You go, and then disaster ensues. And it was trying to continually represent the genuine needs of that community, because we had a very tight community, Manisha. We formed, it was really in a lot of ways, it was a trust-based system, especially with the managers. By the end of it, we had about 88 technical sales managers globally. And over the years, we developed a community of trust. And part of that was I held a Teams meeting every Friday that was this is not recorded. We are, there's no rank here. This is open conversation, and we're trusting one another to be able to bring the hard issues that we're dealing with so that we can collectively come to a better support system in moving forward and being successful and ultimately accomplishing the goals of the business. That fostering that kind of environment of trust is what really made the difference for things. And I would highly suggest that anyone who is unwilling as a business leader to consider the well-being of people before the business is kind of got things off. I mean, you need a balance between these are our goals, our sales goals, what we have to accomplish to meet the business priorities. But also, if you in any way make people feel like they're simply a resource to you achieving your goals, especially if you're a corporate leader, and
Yeah.
they will tire of that quickly, and you lose trust, and people start to feel like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm only here as a mechanism in a bigger machine, and I have no intrinsic value. And we all know from layoffs that you can be gone later today. I mean, like, we saw it, we were shocked when Microsoft had these huge layoffs after the pandemic. Utterly shocked at some of the people who were let go. And it really did erode trust. But within our community, we were still like, okay, we've got each other's backs. Like, we're going to do everything we can to support one another and be there. And that's probably the thing I'm most grateful for out of all those years.
Interesting. No, the very fact that you call it a community and not team, Ray, speaks a lot about trust, right? Because I mean, team and community technically are the same thing, but the major differentiation, I would say, is the trust factor. Community feels more trustworthy, and team is like more professional. So I think the very fact that you call it a community gives the aura of trust, I would say.
Well, thank you. And hey, Manisha, on that point, as you know, talking about being yogis, right? The very most people, like they hear namaste and they're like, okay, namaste. And may not even know what it means. I mean, people that probably practice don't even always know what namaste means. But it is the concept that, like, I recognize in you the spark of divinity, right? And you recognize in me the spark of divinity. And when we share that respect and recognition for one another, we're in community, right? We're in unity.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was the spirit I took into everything that we did in community. And it paid off, because people genuinely know that I see you, like I respect
yeah,
you, at corporate at times, those things don't happen.
yeah, yeah.
It's
This
not quite the
is
same,
this
but
this is gold. Honestly, I'm sure this is going to awe a lot of our viewers and listeners. This is gold. So, moving from community teams to emerging technologies, right? What emerging technologies do you foresee having the biggest impact on sales solutions in the next year or two? And what would you recommend? How should leaders prepare their teams to leverage these advancements now?
obviously AI, right, is we're days away from Terminator. If you look at LinkedIn feeds, I don't know about you, I bet 2 out of 3 posts have something to do with AI,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Either co-pilot this or co-pilot that, or however it's all going across the major developers. The impact of AI, I think, is going to be significant, and we're already starting to see it. We were recently at a sales enablement conference, right? And I saw an application that absolutely blew me away called Yoodli, Yoodli, and they have sales presentation training based on AI role modeling
yeah,
that is just blew me away. I mean, I think everyone in the audience, we were all just like, "Wow, okay, that was intense,"
yeah.
right? And it's I'll share this with you. One of the finest people I knew at Microsoft, a guy named Karsten Scheumann. When I first got into that global role, he was responsible for the well-being of all the technical sales managers across all of the commercial divisions, right? So I was just business applications, and
Hmm.
he had to oversee the well-being of Azure and modern work and everything. Like, so he was the overlay of all TSMs. Um, One day he said to me, he's like, "Hey Ray," and this is like 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. He was like, "What do you see the role of a technical sales engineer 5, 10 years from now?" And here I'm really excited to have gotten this new role and global and corporate, and I'm just like, well, I don't want to think of anything that's going to like have me be replaceable, Carson.
Yeah.
But he said, I'm like, man, I'm not sure what he said. He goes, well, how long do you think it is before there's an artificial intelligence version of a pre-sales resource
Wow.
that is going to be able to, on the back end, it's going to look at the client's existing environment, do a parsing of that versus their intended future state, come up with the deltas, be able to define a solution, and do this all through some kind of an AI driven avatar that can speak any language or whatever. And he goes, "What do you think the role of a real human technical specialist in that's going to be?" And I was like, "Wow, man, that's scary." And
Yeah.
we're getting there. I mean, literally, we're getting there. Right, there are applications out there right now where you can see an AI driven presentation, a demonstration, and it may not be as nimble or flexible
Yeah.
as a human, but I mean, we're on, like, what do you think, Manisha? Like version 1.0 of these technologies? What's version 3.0 5 years from now going to look like, right? There's going to be a
Yeah, yeah.
Manisha and Ray
It's
podcast.
crazy.
We don't even have to do this. We'll just say, hey, ChatGPT, go come up with a nice podcast with Manisha and Ray talking for a half an hour, and and we can be having
Yeah.
our coffee and going to class, and it's doing the podcast for us.
There are a lot of possibilities, Ray. I mean, we are just at the beginning of this technology, right? I mean, it's just been what, 2 years that ChatGPT was launched. So we are
Yeah.
still at the beginning of this technology. So there are crazy possibilities. But what I feel is, at least now, this technology is still a co-pilot. It cannot replace any role as such. What we get a chance is, if if AI technology can automate, let's say, even 50% of our tasks, we get a chance to go up the value chain. We get to, let's say, for salespeople, if they are spending a lot of time in administrative tasks, if that is automated by AI, they can spend more time with customers. Pre-sales teams, if they are spending a lot of time on demos or filling RFPs, responding to customers, if 50% of that is automated, they can move up the value chain and start spending and building relationship with customers. So I feel in all these aspects, people, if they are proactive and they are using AI, they can actually go up the value chain now.
I hope that's the case, and ideally it will be, right, that human relationship will still actually matter to people. Like,
Yeah.
I hope so. There's some cultures where that's actually declining because the increase of interactions with an AI driven avatar is becoming more popular than actual
Yeah.
human relationships. So we'll see, but I hope you're
Yeah.
right. And like, to your point, some of the greatest challenges we had in this very large scale situation at Microsoft was, the manual labor of having to tweak an existing presentation to make it customer specific.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that right, then somebody can tell, how many times have you given this? Because this isn't really what we went over in discovery. Like you weren't able to really take the time to make it about us because you apparently are too busy. If you can reduce the manual labor and those
Yeah.
kinds of iterative processes, absolutely, that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, yeah. You will not get to hear, hey, you missed replacing this customer's name with my name in one of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
places.
that's exactly right. Yeah. I wasn't personally in it, but it was in our community. Microsoft goes to market with partners, and
Yeah.
it was an opportunity in New Zealand, and for a medical device manufacturer, right, that makes like hip replacement joints and things like that nature. And the partner showed up for the presentation using the default Microsoft data set, which was about a bicycle shop and
Oh
bike
my
manufacturing.
God.
And literally the customer just said, stop, done, out. And they stopped the presentation, and they came to Microsoft and said, get a different partner, make it right, or we're not even going to reconsider you. So yeah, those minor, it's kind of important, right? But that's another thing about
Yeah.
AI. You're like, hey, I need a data set for this presentation based on, an Asia time zone manufacturer that has these specific legal requirements, and you just put all that in, and
Yeah.
how much better is AI going to be at that than one poor TS sitting there trying to figure out, wow, how do I rename the lexicon of all this data?
Totally. I think, whenever we talk about AI and repurposing content, this kind of a story feels like deja vu, because almost every leader at least has one of these instances where they go to a client and they see their team starting to present and they're like, oh my God, this is not the right presentation. So it feels like a deja vu that, you pretty much hear this story from every
Oh
leader
my
at least
gosh.
once in their experience.
Yeah.
But these are the
Yeah.
fun moments that people remember. Embarrassing, but sometimes funny as well.
Yeah. That's when they wake up in the middle of the night going,
Absolutely.
oh.
Well, finally, could you tell us more about what you do now, Ray? Leaving an organization like Microsoft, after nearly 2 decades must be a huge change
Mhm.
for you. What's next? Do you have anything in mind? What's happening right now?
Yeah, thank you for asking. It's certainly a huge change. I had worked a really long time without really taking a break, Manisha, because I'm 3 years older than baseball, and that's a joke. I'm actually only 2 years older than baseball, but that's no. But so one of the things I'm doing is honestly just kind of just taking a bit of a rest right now. So going to class, going to yoga.
Yeah.
I do a lot of, I produce meditation content for a couple different companies and clients, individual clients. But so one of the main ones' name is Brain Tap, and Brain Tap. You don't have to use a device, but they've got this headset that has lights that flash into your ears and your eyes while you're meditating, and it can help take you into a deeper meditative state, whether you're, I don't want to geek out on it,
Oh,
but if you're looking to go into a deeper theta, or if you want more beta brainwave state, because that's going to keep you alert and you're studying, or if you want to go into a more alpha balanced relaxed state, Brain Tap helps. So I create content for them. I used to teach meditation. Meditation's a big part of my life. So I do that, but as far as like carrying into business, I love, I'm doing public speaking, so I really enjoy that. That's something I would love to grow. It's good for us to all know, hey, know thyself, right? Like, well, here are the things I'm good at, and here are the things not so much.
yeah.
So I love public speaking. It's really one of my favorite things to do, and so I hope to continue to grow that as part of my future. And then I'm also, I'd love to do some consulting. That's something else at this point. I think that even as we're talking, I have a lot of tattoos, but I have a lot of scars. A lot of scars. Trying to do the right thing, and and learning from
Yeah.
those lessons, and knowing to help other people to be able to say, hey, been there, done that. I'll share with you a methodology that's optimal
Yeah.
versus let's not take the hill with the landmines and the mortars. Okay, so
Yeah.
just doing consulting around that, and then also I'm a certified hypnotherapist, so
Wow.
helping people through hypnotherapy is something I absolutely love doing, and I got into it because I saw the difference it made in my own life. That things that I wasn't able to overcome for years, just boom, 1-2 good
Wow.
sessions of hypno, and you're different, and it's because you're addressing the true subliminal root problem instead of just talking about the issue. And it's amazing whenever you get people to a state where they can relax and just allow their subconscious to come forward, and like helping people in that way. As much as I love the sales enablement, consulting and public speaking and all that, and doing the meditation and hypnotherapy, Manisha, is really helping people directly.
Thank you, Ray, for being such an engaging guest. I'm sure our viewers are going to love all the diverse stories that you shared about your life.
Well, thank you, Manisha. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here and get to chat with you. So thank you. And if there's, any way I can help someone, you can either, LinkedIn's the best way, just Ray Schloss. There aren't too many Schlosses out there. But the other thing you could do is you can just go to rayschloss.com. I'll actually take you to LinkedIn, or my health and wellness and meditation, all that is thriving247.com. So just thriving247.com.